Alright guys, so today I want to show you guys what I've been working on. So if you guys do want to visit this area for yourself, just come on to Foxshot, go to Warp Arsenal. Foxshot is open on Bedrock and Java Edition. Link in the description. So a lot of people have been requesting the Antonov An-225 Myra because it's the largest or heaviest transport aircraft, and it's been destroyed in Ukraine during the Russian invasion. I am still working on this, so this is really an early draft of it, but just want to show you guys that I am indeed working on it. Here is a 222M. I started working on that a little bit, not really though. Then we have the Ilyushin IL-76. This has been in the news quite recently. Even the A-50 variant of it, that was shot down. Figured out this is how you make the Russian flag. You just use banners for the ends to make it diagonal. This is still a work in progress though. And then I also been working on this Soviet transport truck. This one is Ukrainian. The MAZ-537. And it's carrying a T-64BV. I made a community post about this and actually made this into a little diorama off a picture I found, and they just had this top lid opened up in Ukrainian flag right there. But yeah, it's a pretty cool tank transport. I am still working on it, however, because there are a couple different variations of it. So over here, I recently got started on working on the Su-34 bomber. This has been used a lot in Ukraine. Over here, this is the Ukrainian Su-27. And you know, it has the pretty cool color scheme, and tried it on the stabilizer. Here's how it looks like. And yeah, I based this mostly off the Su-33 tutorial. Just cut off the canards and adjust it a little bit. Here's the new Ukrainian Air Force Su-27 versus the old one me and Kayado did a very long time ago. Then I'm also working on the Su-35. This is very similar to the Su-27. One thing I've noticed, they added this gray section in the back stabilizers. That's one thing I've noticed. Over here is a C-130. Didn't really work on it, but this is mainly Leaf's design so far off the AC-130 tutorial. And then here's the MiG-31 Foxhound. It's like a supersonic interceptor. This is a really rough design. I'm also working on the Su-24. I added the 45-degree variant. So you see before I have the swept wings and then the wings out, but then like they also fly in between like this. And I gotta make one into, you know, the Ukrainian Air Force livery. This one is just a rough draft that I made for the Hell March video, but it's not really accurate. Then over here, this is the Nimitz class aircraft carrier, the USS Theodore Roosevelt CVN-71. And this is just a really rough draft on what it looks like so far. And it's a commission by Gregor. And I also was working on Nova Kakhovka. This is in the Kherson Oblast. And these are just like some random Russian trucks, KAMAZ, and BMDs, I think, BMD-4s. And there's like some surveillance camera. Maybe it was like mounted over here and they're just showing like these Russian trucks and vehicles going down this road. And then here we have some fencing here. I don't really know what's exactly here, so that's why it's kind of empty. Get a sign, and we got some railroad tracks here and the utility or power lines. You'll see them a lot. And over here, I've been working on Nova Kakhovka hydroelectric plant, and this is just one section of it. See the water coming in. And there was a video early in the war, like there was this guy who was like standing here, and then you could see some attack helicopters go by, like a Mi-35, Mi-28, and I think they have like some kind of guard post here. And then here's some buildings right there, and here's the road. There's gonna be like Russian vehicles moving along here, and some railroad tracks. And I guess that's part of the power plant. Also back over here, we have the RMMV UTF. And I think it's like a man truck, so this is used for the German army. Not completely, really rough design. And then we have the UAZ-452, the Scooby-Doo van. This is used by the Soviet Union, and I guess both sides of the war. And then we have the UAZ-469. Remember that guy? He kept asking for this. Well, I finally built it. It's kind of like a Jeep, and didn't really take that long to make, honestly. Alright, next up we have some Ural trucks. Now this one's like, we already have a tutorial on this, is kind of old, but I think this one's like a command post variant of it, and then here we have a fuel truck variant of it. These two are not complete though, I'm still working on it. And then we have some KAMAZ fuel trucks. These are also not complete, so not the final design, but fuel is very important. And then we have some excavators here. I have a Ural and a KAMAZ variant, EOV 3523. Well, this one is a 3521, so these are just two excavators. They are totally different designs. You can see down here, this one uses slabs, while this one uses signs. So they're a little bit different. And then we have this KAMAZ TMM3M2. This is the bridge layer. I did make a community post about this, saying I'm not going to do a tutorial on it. And this is just like, the folded variant of it. They didn't fold it out all the way. So that is complete. And then here I was working on the Dana. This is a really rough giraffe of it. I think it comes from Czechoslovakia. And then here I have the Hemet Wrecker. Really rough design as well. Just added the basic features of it. This is really rough design. Katyusha. This is a World War II rocket launcher, MLRS or something. And then we have some Soviet howitzers. So this one is the Gvozdyka, and this one over here is this Akatsiya, which is just acacia. So yeah, there's a lot of different Soviet howitzers. And over here, this is the famous TOS-1A. Now I have a bunch of different variations here. So this is what, the main variant of it looks like when it's in like transport mode. They have these hooks to anchor them down, got the Russian, Z or the O marking. And they also have land gear here in the back. So when it's actually activated to fire, they actually drop down this dirt plow in the front for some stabilization. And then these actual stabilizers in the back down into the ground, and then they angle this thing up. And it fires thermobaric rounds, so it's also known as a flamethrower because when you fire it, it sucks all the oxygen out and burns it. So it actually does cause a lot of flames to appear around the vehicle when it's firing. It's quite interesting. And then here's another one, like angled up. And in real life, they actually base this on the T-72 and the T-90 chassis. So the ones you see over here, they're the T-90 chassis, so you could tell easily because they have these extra armor plates in the front, the ERA. While on the T-72, we just made it like straight across, kind of bland like that. No plates over here, and also we added like the V thing, so this thing sticks out. Well, the T-90 is just all straight across like a giant bars. So that's why I have two of them. They look kind of like the same thing. And I also have the TZMT. This is basically the transport, loader version of the TOS-1. So they carry the rocket ammunition. So this is what it looks like empty. They have a crane here in the middle. And I just put this on the T-90 chassis like the TOS-1. Here's it with it loaded. And then here's what it looks like when they put in the covers. So they would take the covers off, take these rockets, go to the back of this, and just load up the launcher. So yeah, not a lot of people have made this vehicle. Even T14 Armada on a Discord, he says he never actually made it, even though he makes a ton of Russian vehicles. All right, next up we have the BM27 Uragan. This is mounted on the ZIL 135 chassis truck. So this is a MLRS, multiple launch rocket system. It's still in the works though, so not exactly complete. Then over here, I'm working on the T80U. This is like really rough design. I barely even worked on this, so don't even count this as a real design. It's just a really rough prototype. And then we have the T80BV. This is the Siberia for PMC Wagner when they invaded Rostov-on-Don. And yeah, it's a pretty iconic tank because they have these orange Z markings, so they kind of differentiate, and they have the Wagner flag and all these, equipment on top. But yeah, it's a pretty unique looking tank. Right now though, they took off all that Wagner stuff, so it's like a regular tank now. Then over here, I want to do an upgrade on Tawfik's World War I British Mark V tank, and just adding like new design blocks. And then over here, I have a bunch of Russian flat cars. This is for tank transport or military transport. And I even have a vehicle locomotive for this electric. This one's the Belarusian VL-80S. And this is what they used during the Russian invasion of Ukraine to transport a bunch of, armored stuff. And I also made the Russian Railways variant of it. So we have two different liveries, and these are two trains. I eventually want to make an animation of this, sort of like a compilation of, invading Ukraine. So here I loaded up different vehicles on this train. So on this one, got a command truck, bunch of different trucks, and the flat cars are all different designs. So I put a bunch of different vehicles, and you'll notice that these vehicles, they don't have the Z markings, and that's because they want to keep it hidden, and they only add the Z when they start to invade. Here's a BDR-M2, the BM-21 Grad, Kamaz, and then they have the Russian Railways. The coaches is where they ferry the soldiers. I think in the real one, they actually have more coaches. They also have these box cars, and I think there's soldiers inside here as well. And then here we have the VDV, the airborne troops. They use this on the northern front, and these cars over here, I made them slightly longer so it can fit in, two at a time. And then over here we have some Gaz Tiger, Russian Humvee. And then the MTLB, this is a Strela 10 anti-aircraft surface-to-air missile system. And then a couple of BMP-2s. So that's it for that train. So now for the other train, I guess we'll start here. In the back, we just got a bunch of these Panzer S2 surface-to-air missile systems. anti-aircraft, and then with the TZM, loaders, the TOS-1, got a bunch of them here. Then we have some box cars, and then here's like this MTLB, and they put like this anti-aircraft gun on it. So that was kind of interesting. Then we got a bunch of these BMP-2s, and then we have the Mista S self-propelled howitzer right there. Couple of those, and then these coaches again. In real life there was more coaches than this, but I just put 2 because I can't fit that many in this train. Then we got some army trucks over here, a BTR-82. I swiveled the turret so it's facing, backwards. BTR, and the T-80 BVM. That's like probably my favorite, Russian tank. And then got the T-90A. After I finished the T-90A tutorial, I just put this one here. And then this one's supposed to be the T-72B3, but I don't have the armor stand here because I don't have the entity. And you can see some of these cars, they have like these walls, they fold down like that. It is a bit chunky though, but I want to keep the color. And I also was working on the German variant of these rail cars. So, this is carrying the Leopard 2 like that. And then here we have the Abrams tank. So yeah, they also come in a different color. So after that, we have the BMP-T Terminator. So this is mounted on the T-90. This one is armored on the side. This one is not. So they basically mounted these twin 30mm cannons here in the front, and I guess rockets here on the side. It's one of Russia's newest development vehicles. And here's with camouflage and some supplies here in the back. And there's actually not that many videos of this in action. Pretty much the only time we've actually seen the Terminator in action was in the Crimea forest, shooting down a bunch of trees and stuff like that. And then here is the plain green version of it, with the ribbon of St. George here on the side. That is apparently a Russian national symbol. I did not know that. I remember I had no clue when they had that on the T-14 Armada tanks. And I also completed the BMP-3. So this is a Russian infantry fighting vehicle. So it's actually a lot different from the BMP-2. They have the turret mounted closer to the front, and in real life they actually have 2 guns. One's a 100mm and one's a 30mm. But in Minecraft, they're all in the same place like that. And then over here, I just put it in camouflage. I worked on the CH-47 Skytrain a little bit, but barely. And this is where I started working on the Ukrainian BTR-3 a little bit, but not that much. And then here we have the Blue Angels FA-18. Didn't really complete it. That's what it looks like. And then here we have the Tiger 1 tank. I was planning on doing like some kind of remaster of it since the original tutorial did really well, but honestly, there's not really much to change about this. Besides the color of the treads, that's all I did. Maybe I would make a tan version of it. Here's a P-47 Thunderbolt. I never really finished it though, but it was used for an animation briefly. And then here's this Russian drone, the Orion E. Probably no one would build this though. And then here is a Striker. This one, it has the MGS gun systems, and it's built in 2.5:1 scale, but never really completed it. Also over here, this is the Panzer IV. I definitely wanted to make the Panzer IV tank because there's a lot of them in World War II, but it's kind of difficult in 1.5:1 scale, honestly. But this is a really rough design. And then over here, I wanted to make the Leopard 2 PL. This is like the Polish Leopard tank, but never really worked on it that much. And then we have some Sherman tanks. This is the new updated design. It looks pretty nice. I want to do a tutorial on it eventually, but never really got around to that. And then here we have the M109 Paladin. I was working on this for quite a bit, never really got to complete it. Then over here we have the Ukrainian BDR-M2, and they have the camouflage. I was watching a video like the first days of the invasion, and there was like a bunch of these lying around, so I decided to make it. And then here is, the plain one. Over here we have the BM-30 Smerch. It's just like a Soviet multiple launch rocket system. Not complete though, so this definitely needs some work. And over here we have the Gepard. This is based on the Leopard 1. That's why I have one right here. And yeah, I never really got around to completing this, but it's like 90% done. And then over here I wanted to redo the M923 or something like that. It's like a Gulf War truck. Also never got to complete it. So back over here I want to make the native woodland version of the Abrams tank, but also never got to finish it. Then we have the BM-21 Grad. I just kind of upgrade design. I think it's pretty much done. This is like how the modern version of it would look like. And I also was working on an updated version of the LAV-25 used by the Marine Corps. And then here I start to work on the CV-90. The one over here is built by a different person, but I didn't really like their methods, so I just made my own version of it. Then over here is the Mi-28. This is the Russian attack helicopter. The Russian counterpart to the Apache, and it's pretty much complete. I know a lot of people want to see this though, and I did start work briefly on the B1 Lancer. And if you check out the recent live stream, I was building a Skybin in the Kyiv Oblast. So this is one of the areas where, you know, a bunch of Russian tanks came in and the Ukrainians kind of ambushed them with artillery and ATGM. So, you know, it's a little set. Right over here is some kind of like a truck yard. I just put some Euro trucks there. Here's like the main road. It kind of just angles a little bit. There's going to be farmland on the side. There also is this gas station right there. I built this mainly off of Google Street View, which surprisingly Ukraine has. And here are some houses that I start working here on the side. You can see they have a lot of these antenna poles, utility poles, and the lamp post and lighting. It was actually a little bit confusing because in the Google Satellite View versus Google Street View versus videos of this battle, the road lines are a little bit different. So a lot of things must have changed in the meantime. And then here I just added some Russian T-90A tank just to have something for a scale to make sure things are actually proportional to what they look like on the video. So I have that. TOS1, there's like a red road on the side. I believe it's like this pedestrian kind of sidewalk area. And I noticed in Ukraine they have a bunch of these, you know, fences all the time in front of their houses. A cool thing that I did not know they actually had was this underground, you know, subway entrance. So this actually goes like that. It's not really for trains, it's just to cross the other street. I also was working on Myhorod Air Base in the Poltava Oblast in Ukraine. So this is basically a Ukrainian fighter jet base. And of course, it probably existed from the Soviet Union because they have these concrete tiles. Shout out to Alex the Roach, kind of gave me inspiration making these 3D tiles instead of making them flat, because I do think they make it pop out a lot more. And it's also pretty good if you're measuring stuff because it kind of gives you a grid system. It's easy to line things up. So that is the runway. They also have different size blocks they use. So these are like the larger ones, and they have like these square ones. And then they even have these tinier rectangular ones. And then if we move over here, we have some Su-27s on these, I don't know what to call these, the aprons where they store the aircraft. So they have that. In the future, I think I'm planning on making like this hill barrier around it for some added protection. So you can fit in like 2 fighter jets here, maybe even more. And you can see the designs of the tiles are different, but I did base this off of Google Satellite View. Then here is another one, and then here's another one. It's going to be a little bit tricky because in the real life one, there's going to be some on a diagonal. So that would be difficult. I'm going to try using World Edit and see how that goes. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this military update. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys do want to support my work, consider giving a donation. And if you're interested in commissioning anything, you can send me an email at craftyfoxbusiness@gmail.com. And if you guys do want to see these builds for yourself, just come on Foxshot. Again, we are open on Bedrock also. Links in the description. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.